Right, I promised this last week. And I want to hear, like, and if you haven't prepared for this, boys, don't worry. But just, if you have to wing it, you can wing it because it's very difficult to give a top four and guess what's going to happen this season. But first off, I mean, are we all in agreement that we feel that Georgia are going to be that number one at the end of the season? Yeah, like, or does anybody disagree with that? And we can go into a whole conversation
It's
of this.
difficult to see anyone other than Georgia holding down number one at the end of the year. The only real questions are with Carson Beck, their new quarterback, but like he only has to play at an average level, even a below average level. We'll see them winning most games by 2 scores or more. They are so far ahead of the curve in terms of player recruitment, player development, and just maximizing the talent of everyone on their in their school. It's really it's rivaling the Alabama peak days is what is the level Kirby Smart has Georgia operating at right now. I suppose if you want me to just jump straight in with my top four,
Go for it.
fire away. As I say, I've Georgia at number one. Number two, I've got Michigan coming out of the Big Ten as Big Ten champions. Number three, I've got Washington making it for the first time out of the Pac-12.
Oh,
Listen, the Pac-12 usually beats itself to death every year and then subsequently misses out on a spot. I think this is the year where they get in, and two other conferences, the ACC with Clemson and Florida State, and the Big 12 with a handful of good teams down there. I think those are the conferences that end up missing out. Which means my fourth team is going to be a team that doesn't win its conference, and that's going to be Penn State. And that may come as a surprise. I've got look, there's three big dogs in the Big Ten right now. That's Michigan, who I have winning it, Penn State, and then of course Ohio State. I think each of those teams beats each other. I think we see Michigan beat Ohio State. I think we see Penn State lose to Ohio State but beat Michigan at home. I think that's got to be all of those teams will finish the year with one loss, and Penn State will just edge out Ohio State for that final spot, considering Michigan will have beaten Ohio State in their last game. So I think that's the four I'm going with. Look, it's a everything can change as the year goes by, but those are the four teams I feel really good about right now. You could make an argument for perhaps USC over Washington in the Pac-12, but I think that Michael Penix Jr., their quarterback, I think he's going to go on a Heisman run this year. He's one of the best talents in college football, and I'm really excited to see what he can do this year.
reminder to me to insert a Heisman segment on the 2024 week one show as well, where we actually
Yeah.
pick who the Heisman is going to be. My bad. Colin, I love what Dara's saying there about Penn State because they've got a really young core of talent there that could really rise up this season and literally go maybe 11-1, 10-2 if it goes away, definitely down the stretch. I mean, for me, I haven't got Penn State. I was considering it. I've got them maybe fifth or sixth if it has that sort of season. I'm going to say Georgia. I'm going to say Michigan, and I'm going to be but it's not even controversial. I'm going to say Alabama. Come back, get back into the top four and third. And I'm going to say Ohio State fourth. So I feel like for me, Colin, that is my top four. I'd love to not be born and put like a completely like irrelevant school in the four, and maybe go like a little bit of Cincinnati a couple of years ago and just come in and have a bit of crack. But maybe you want to give us some sort of belief that this season could give us the unexpected, especially when we're in the final year before the whole thing goes mental with realignment.
Yeah, well, I agree with both of you that like the Michigan and Georgia are kind of locked in. I mean, if you look at their schedules, they're fairly easy schedules. I mean, like, yeah, Michigan play Ohio State and Penn State, but you'd expect for them to win one of those games. And even then, like they're still one of the best teams. I'd feel like even there's still a chance if they lost 2 games, if they got into a conference championship game for whatever reason, they could easily make the college football playoff. And then Georgia also have a really easy schedule. Like they only play, I think, 2 or 3 ranked teams, and like it's not like any of the really high ranked teams. Then number 3, I had Alabama, but it's basically a case of I think the way they're gonna try and do it is they don't want to have just like 2 SEC schools and 2 Big 10 schools, because I think that would maybe lose a little bit of interest, even if they were so big. So if it's not Alabama, then it's kind of Ohio State. I feel like they kind of would just flip depending on record. I mean, you never know. Like one of those teams could go 0-12 this year. And then as my fourth team, I flip-flopped between Florida State and USC, but I ended up going with USC kind of at the last minute just because I'm like, the Caleb Williams factor and the Lincoln Riley factor of like, you know, offensive insane quarterback mixed with quarterback guru Lincoln Riley, who's already had like three Heisman winning quarterbacks now with Caleb Williams there. I just kind of feel like they would play, and I also think, you know, if they ended up playing Georgia in the college football playoff, you know, that elite Georgia defense against Caleb Williams, it would be insane.
I feel like there's an awful lot to come here, and I know that there's a lot of people maybe listening to this for the first time that are NFL fans and are trying to get into college football. So we will try and give such concise analysis that you boys have just done there now. So we certainly appreciate it, boys.